What's the difference between the smile of a hypocrite and the smile of a true believer? We can feign submission, but that ain't real submission. One of the laborers, asked me, "Brother Minister, how can I be," I'll have to say it open because it it was the national spokesperson. He asked me, "How can I be a better national spokesman?" I said, "Well, brother," I said, "that's a good question. I think I can help you with the answer. Do you know what it means to represent somebody else? When you're the ambassador of a government, you can't even get angry unless it's the policy of your government. Because you're representing something bigger than yourself. When you are an ambassador of a government, you don't speak ahead of your government. You stop when something comes up. You quickly call the State Department to your superior to find out, how should I answer? How should I do? And policy will come down from your government. And as the ambassador, even if you disagree with it, it's the policy. You got to carry it out or give up the post. You want all the benefits that come from being an ambassador? Well, what happens when your own State Department sends down instructions that you don't like? Can you, as an ambassador, say, "I ain't carrying them out"? That's the end of your ambassadorship right then. Is that right? Yes, sir. I was the national representative, and I am that, of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, a national representative of somebody else. Has to be of the kind and quality of heart and mind that he can die in order that what he represents live in and through him. That's why a disciple of Jesus would say, "In him I live, move, and have my being." But in order for Jesus to live in you, you got to die. But who wants to kill themselves in order that Jesus can live in them? That's talk, man. Paul said, "I die daily for the Lord." What are you talking about, Paul? I'm killing my own desires, my own will to accept the will of Jesus Christ, whom I represent, so that I can be a better representative of my King. Huh? Who wants to die that another man can live in you? And I ain't talking about his flesh, I'm talking about his mind, his spirit, his vision. Louis Farrakhan been dead a long time. You looking at Elijah Muhammad. I'm gonna say that again. I'm going to say it again. Louis Farrakhan couldn't do this work. It's not my work. It's the work of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad. The work of raising the black man up is not divinely given to me. It was divinely given to him. So in order for me to do that work, he got to live in me and I in him. That's why Jesus said, "Me and my Father are one." Can you become one with me as I strive to become one with him? That's the test of your ego. Ego says, well, the leader, he wants it done that way. I'll do it my way. See, but Frank Sinatra ain't gonna be successful in here. I did it my way. What the hell are you talking about, your way? It's God's way or no way at all. It's not Farrakhan's way. It is the way of God as coming through the Honorable Elijah Muhammad. That's the man. Always was, always will be. Well, I'm glad you said that, Farrakhan, because I heard the son of Elijah Muhammad introducing you. He said he would die for you. Hear the word of Farrakhan. He didn't say hear the word of Elijah Muhammad coming through Farrakhan. Farrakhan has no word. Farrakhan's word is the word of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad. He knows that. He's not being unfaithful to his father. He's being faithful to his father by upholding the man that his father said would get all 30 million. Elijah Muhammad haven't said that of not one of you. He didn't tell you he was going to get 30 million through any of my ministers. So unless you come in line with me, as I come in line with him, you're not going to be successful in raising our people. And I'll give you freedom to try it. I don't have no problem with that. I'm not afraid that you're going to go out and raise up a counter movement. I know what you're going to raise up. All those ministers of Elijah Muhammad that's out here now, they were some of the greatest men in America. But they're not successful today in raising dust. Because they are not in agreement with the authorized representative. Yeah? You don't have to applaud if you don't want to. This ain't no monkey see, monkey do show. Every student of Elijah Muhammad has the right to lift him up. But authority has to come through me. Otherwise, you don't have the authority to go along with your right, then you become a thief. You want to climb up another way. You don't want to come through the door that the messenger of God has set for you. You want to make a way yourself. Go ahead. I'll wait on you. Because I know what's out there for you. Death is waiting for you. Wailing and gnashing of teeth is waiting for you. Because if you cannot submit to one whom God's apostle has appointed for you, with these silly little secret thoughts running around in your brain, that you could do it better. If only the messenger had seen you first. Stop it, please. The messenger said of Farrakhan, he said, I didn't make you. Now, some hypocrite in here said, I told you the messenger didn't make him. And I said to him, oh, yes, you did, dear apostle. He said, oh, no, I didn't. I said, oh, yes, you did. He said, oh, no, I didn't. Who's the teacher here, brother? And I shut up. He said, brother, Allah made you for me. I taught you the same thing I taught everybody else. He never gave me no private teaching. I can count on my two hands how many private consultations I had with Elijah Muhammad. Where's all this coming from? And I don't read no books. I am a book. He told me, you go and stand up, and Allah will speak through you. I'm not putting this out here for no vanity. That's not the purpose. The purpose is to say Malcolm X was tried by the circumstances within the mosque, by the envy, the enmity, the jealousy of his peers. And Elijah Muhammad directed the heat of that enmity and jealousy right toward Malcolm, to burn him in the searing flames of his brother's hatred. Because if he couldn't take it inside the mosque, then what would happen when the master teacher was no longer here and he's sitting in the seat with power over the people? How would he use that power? When people speak evil of you and you know in your heart that you are right and you got power in people that will do your bidding, that's the greatest test for your character. Because there are people in the ranks that would literally slaughter my enemies if I was that kind of man to direct them in that way. That's right. And that's a fact. I don't even have to say it loud. I just have to hint it and the person would be dead. But that's not my work. Killing my people. No. I'm going to win them by doing exactly what that New Testament said. See that scripture that says, love your enemies? It ain't talking about loving the Caucasian. He's a natural enemy. But black people, they're enemies out of their ignorance. If you don't love your people, even though they're enemies out of their ignorance, how will you find the methodology to remove the ignorance that made them your enemy, then turn them to be your friend? That's why the story of Joseph in the Quran is the most beautiful of all narratives, because Joseph was hated by his own brothers, but he maneuvered and won his brothers and then forgave them, and they worked and walked together. Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, forgave his enemies when he conquered Mecca. We are so hateful and vindictive when anybody speaks evil of us or does things that we dislike. We dislike them, and if we had the right or power, we would move on them. You can't be in the mercy seat with that kind of spirit. Malcolm X, when he felt that Elijah Muhammad was envious of him, and through envy had set him down at the height of his career, his anger was kindled, And he turned against the man that made him what he was. Now, if a man would turn against a teacher that gave him the opportunity, the platform, and the wisdom to hold the platform, then you and I don't have a chance. And when Malcolm turned on Elijah Muhammad, he knew something of Elijah Muhammad's domestic life, meaning that Elijah Muhammad had wives other than his wife Clara Muhammad. And this comes as a shock to people. Why? Have you ever read the Bible that any prophet of God had one wife? Talk to me. No, let's talk. I just love God's prophets. I love them all. They just wonderful men. How many wives did Abraham have? He was the father of the righteous. If having wives make you less righteous, then how could Abraham have ever gotten to be the friend of God? Talk back to me. How many wives did Moses have? Come on. Well, you don't know, so go read. You so believing in the Bible. I believes in it, you say, from one cover to the netter. You're a liar. When somebody quoted to you and you don't understand the passage, you start fighting immediately. What? Them prophets had more than one wife? Yeah. David was the prototype of the Messiah. How many did he have? Talk to me. So Spike asked me, wasn't it because Malcolm held Elijah Muhammad up on a pedestal? And when he found out that he had sex with his teenage secretaries, he was disillusioned. I said, I could believe that if it were true. I said, you mean to tell me Malcolm got disillusioned because Elijah Muhammad had wives and some of them were teenagers, and then went to follow Prophet Muhammad, who had more wives, and one of them was a pre-teenager? You mean he could follow a dead prophet who had wives that never did nothing for him? But he couldn't stand with a man who took him up out of the gutter and made him a giant in the earth because he had wives? No, brother. That's a weak argument. Malcolm went to Africa. He was in Ghana. He met many chiefs over there. And all the chiefs in Africa ain't got one wife, you know. And they're not limited like the Quran limits the Muslim. These chiefs may have many wives. He didn't find no problem meeting the chiefs, honoring the chiefs, sitting down, breaking bread with those chiefs that never did nothing for him, but he couldn't continue to walk with the chief that made him what he was. These are the sons of Elijah Muhammad. Come out, Ishmael. Come out, Russell. No, come on. They're just some of them. God is wise. The Honorable Elijah Muhammad had 6 sons before any of these were born. But not one of those 6 carried on Elijah Muhammad's work. God saw all the way down, and he gave Elijah Muhammad wives from among the believing women. And from those believing women, he produced believing children. Are you saying that Sister Clara Muhammad was not a believing woman? To the best of my knowledge, she was one of the best of the believing women, if not the best. But sometimes you can produce children and they don't walk in the footsteps of your husband. God knew that. So here are young sons of Elijah Muhammad who at this point in their lives want to continue the work of their father. I'm very happy over that, because any father would want to see his sons get involved in his work. I'm a father. I have sons. I would wish that all my sons would get involved in this work. They benefit from it. They ought to help me in the work. I have 1 out of 4. The second one and the third one is on the way. I hope the 4th one is too. I would be a blessed man if all my children believed and helped me. But that doesn't always happen in the life of the prophets and in the life of the servants of God. Sometimes good men have the worst kind of children. Am I lying? I pray that the sons of Elijah Muhammad and the sons of Farrakhan, I'm talking about biological now, will stay in the path of their father and will work tirelessly, unceasingly, whether Farrakhan is living or dead, present or absent, to continue the work of the most noble man that ever walked among us. Yes, sir. The Honorable Elijah Muhammad. But I'll tell you this, ain't nobody gonna come into no leadership here because they the son of Elijah or the son of Farrakhan. That's dead. I want you to hear me good. I'm gonna say it again. Well, what are they doing up there then? I'm putting them in a position to either fly or die. They'll never be able to say I didn't give them a chance. And if they blew it, they blew it. Canceled out. Ain't no blood thing here. Well, why is your daughter over the MGT and the GCC then? Sound like nepotism to me. Shut up. Where were you when my family was eating food out of the streets when we were poor and hungry? You weren't there. My family was. Where were you when the enemies firebombed my home when they were children? to kill me and my children. You weren't there. You don't know nothing about eating beans day in and day out, year in and year out. Maybe you do. Look, you didn't start this movement or restart it. I'm not here because of you. You're here because of me. So if God blessed Mr. Ford to start the Ford Motor Company, Ford would be a fool not to make a place for his own children. It's my duty as a father to make a place for my children. And if they're not qualified, they won't be there. But leadership of the nation, that ain't no family thing. We all are the family. The most qualified among us don't have to come from the bloodline, because I did not come from no bloodline. I was like David out in the field. All the bloodline was busy looking for the money line. Don't tell me I know the history. You didn't work for your father. I did. I fed most of them with the money that I brought here to Chicago, back in the Honorable Elijah Muhammad. This is no gift for me. I earned this. I earned this the hard way. I worked for it, sweat for it, suffered for it, to make a place for you. You don't have to accept the place, but hell, we won't miss you. Any one of these young men in here, older men, I'm telling you that the nation belongs to you. And the best among us who will study and work hard and say, I'm willing to undergo the hard trials necessary to establish the truth. Come on then, brother. I will lay the knowledge at your foot. You take it and run with it. And if you're the one, God will exalt you. Don't try to exalt yourself. Let God lift you up. And the whole nation will see your good works. And no one will be able to deny you because they happen to be blood. If they're not born of the Spirit as well as the blood, they won't make it here. Is it clear? Yes, I love the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, and I love his children. And I see it as my duty to try to make a place for his children in the nation that he himself is the foundation of. But the children can't have no contrary ideas. Not in here with me. Let me make myself very clear. See, I'm not doing this for vanity. Don't sit around and be angry because everywhere you go, you see people say they love Farrakhan. I didn't go out here to produce that. I just did the work of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, and it produced it. You want the people to love you? Come help me do this work. No. If you don't want to help me, it's okay. If you think you can be successful outside of me, then I say, go ahead and try. I will not bother you. But I'll tell you, like the messenger told Malcolm, I have your key. And I have your key. Yep. And you see, brother, I'm not boasting or nothing, because that's unworthy of any of us who want to be servants of God to be boasters. But he gave me the key. He, Elijah Muhammad, that's who I'm talking about. And evidently I must have it because I'm opening doors. If you don't have no key, well, how are you going to get in? Just let me open the door and you go in. But you got to come in behind me. That shouldn't be a problem, should it? But it is. So I'm going to close now. My poor brother, Malcolm, is no longer among the living. I loved him so.